This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How are we doing today on this Monday, November the 18th? Welcome into the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. I'm your host, Joe Gaither. You're watching us on the Bama Central YouTube channel or my own social media machines at Joe Gaither 6. Or you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon. We appreciate you checking out the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Going to have a lot of fun hanging out in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios right off McFarland Boulevard, talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama basketball losing a kind of an ugly game this past weekend in Indiana. We're going to talk about what went wrong for the Crimson Tide, what they need to fix before this weekend or this Wednesday's game against Illinois coming into Birmingham. So a lot to get into with Alabama basketball. We obviously have a football game to get into as well, a scrimmage per se. Alabama dominates Mercer 52-7. So we'll talk about that on the program today. And then we will talk. I have a rant, and you can either say it's for the Alabama fans or it's for SEC fans in general. I've heard Georgia fans talking about this as well. It's about the SEC championship game and about the postseason path forward. So we'll get into the SEC championship scenarios as we see it, as we know it, just a little bit, and we'll talk about really what you should be rooting for if you are rooting for the Alabama Crimson Tide, or if you're rooting for anyone, really. If you're rooting for any SEC team, you should be rooting for this. It's not Alabama specific. But before we do that, we want to welcome our friend Mason Woods. You can find him at MAWoods_ on the Twitter machine. Mason, how was your weekend, brother?
Well, it could have been better. Definitely could have been better. Started off a little rough Friday night. I did not go up to Mackey Arena. I watched the Tide go up to Mackey Arena and unfortunately suffer at the hands of the Purdue Boilermakers. But we moved on to an okay weekend. Obviously, the Tide rolled on Saturday. Got a pretty good NFL Sunday. I didn't really pay attention to the Titans, so they couldn't hurt me, and that's all right.
That's exactly, just for everybody who was messaging me about the Bears, exactly what I did as well. It's Bears-Packers week. Like, if you saw the kid who was crying on social media, like literally wailing deep guttural tears after the blocked field goal, like that would have been me. And so I avoided all of that. By not watching a single snap. I eyeballed the score or a time or two, and I thought, oh, maybe I should turn it on. But I said, no, don't get sucked in. You know what it's going to be. And we saw what it was, the Bears having a very brutal loss to the Green Bay Packers once again. But yeah, I would have been weeping the entire evening. I avoided all that with laughter by saying, ha ha, we are what we are. Oh,
we got to watch the Chiefs lose, though.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I really didn't watch a whole lot of NFL football because
I loved that. Let me tell you, I've been waiting for it all season, and it finally came. That was my Super Bowl, watching Patrick Mahomes lose.
You just want to see Taylor Swift cry?
I couldn't care less, honestly. I just want to see Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs lose. They have reached that point, like every super team does, every dynasty does, where I am sick of seeing them, and I'm ready for them to start losing.
Well, just hang on. I think
it's
Father Time. All these Patrick Mahomes is Mahomes, but
it's going to take a bit.
You think they're going to go for 3 and win a third?
Yeah.
No, Lamar Jackson, they're going to win.
We've been through this already on the show. I know exactly what's going to happen. It's AFC Championship. It's going to come all down to Justin Tucker's leg, and he's going to miss
17-16.
The Chiefs will escape again.
49
and they'll go
yards.
Smoke the NFC.
Yeah, you're right. But this is not an NFL show as much as we are miserable about our own teams.
We really are just some sad sacks when it comes to professional sports.
That's all right. We are, in case you haven't already seen it, or in case you can't hear it in the microphone, Abby, the dog, is in the Derek Daniels State Farm studio.
The mascot.
The pit bull is hanging out. She wants to talk about some Alabama football, and she wants to tell you about Derek Daniels State Farm. We're here off McFarland Boulevard. Call Derek at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs, home, life, and auto insurance. You can call and see how much Derek can save you today. Mason, let's give the people what they want first. and the football.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't give two rips about
Hey,
what happened in Bryant-Denny Stadium this past weekend.
The Tide rolled just like they did everything we wanted them to do. I don't you know, there was no they played mostly mistake-free football throughout the whole game. I think the one thing you can really point to is letting Mercer get that touchdown. But
what a play it
what
was.
do you do? Yeah, I mean, it was just an insane play. It's you can't. Those are those kind of things where you can't. You throw your hands up. It is what it is. You can't really get mad at those. So. Yeah, I mean, clean game from Alabama. Great performance from Jalen Milroe. Great to see the backups get in. My man Richard Young got him a touchdown. Not a whole lot to take away.
Your players to watch were Richard Young, were Ty Simpson, and you had a third young guy.
Gino Vandermark.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, are you giving yourself credit for? Did Ty Simpson impress you?
I mean, did he impress me? I'm not gonna say. No.
But Vandermark started the whole game and played.
I thought Vandermark looked solid. Again,
and then bumped into center when they needed when they moved the twos. He bumped over to center.
He did fine. Ty Simpson. Hey, that one play was pretty cool.
He had a couple of pretty cool plays.
Yeah.
Now he was hampered by some drops as well. He had who was it? Kevin Riley. No, Daniel Hill had a drop, right? Daniel Hill had a drop, and it was Jaron Hamilton maybe had a drop in the end zone.
I think this is not any fault of Ty Simpson's. This is purely just my own personal bias because of the I guess the last few Alabama quarterbacks, how exciting they have been. I'm not going to get super excited about Ty Simpson until he makes me excited.
Yeah. I mean, now the offensive line didn't do him a whole lot of favors. And of course, Mercer was still playing the ones. Yeah. That was happening.
And I mean, this is a unit that probably does not see the field together a whole lot in these starting opportunities.
Oh, sure.
So,
of course.
There's some growing pains there.
But he was on the move a lot. He was kind of on now. He snapped two in a row right off to Caleb Odom that were nice, that were pretty impressive. And like the play you're talking about, the almost sack, it was 3rd and 15. He throws it up to Josh Cuevas.
Heck of a play by Cuevas.
Yeah, Cuevas makes a great play. You kind of think, oh my gosh, you're throwing up a prayer. Okay, you live with it. Because
I think though it's a calculated prayer, right? You're lobbing it up to Cuevas against Mercer.
There were 3 Mercer Bears down there.
I think it's a calculated risk.
Them. Yeah. And if let's just say it goes the wrong way, you get the interception. Okay, Mercer's down on the 3-yard line.
Yeah.
Well, what's the big deal?
Decent chance you might be getting the ball back in a couple plays.
Right. If it were incomplete, that middle ground. If it were incomplete, you're punting. So like. That's great field position to leave them on the 4-yard line if that's the case. If they get an interception,
fine with him doing that.
That's a good risk to take.
Yes, I think some people on the surface you may look at it and just think, "Whoa, all he did was lob it up." And sure, he
pretty wild play, but good risk to take.
Yes, in the context of the situation, I'm okay with it.
What else did Ty Simpson do? No, I mean,
he moved around well.
You got a decent little scramble. Where it was 3rd and 7 or 8, where he came down the sidelines and made a play. And then he had a a design quarterback run. Doesn't quite look like number 4 running the football.
No, not quite. And I'm not sure that he's going to. And I think that, that will obviously take a bit of getting used to because it's been a while since we've just seen Alabama do anything without number 4 under center. So, like I said, Ty Simpson is like great quarterback. I think he's very solid. I don't think he's, I don't think he's going to lose you a bunch of games necessarily, but I'm going to have to see it out of him before I start to really buy into the hype.
What do we feel about let's just go ahead and get this topic out of the way since we're on it. The backup quarterbacks. What do you think about Dylan Lonergan? I think he was 5 of 6 for like 20-something yards.
I mean, they didn't really ask him to do much,
snapping it off throws, underneath.
Yeah. So I'll take, what they asked him to do. He did well.
Austin Mack, 2 for 3 down the sideline, 39 yards to Rico Scott.
This was so sweet.
What a play.
Sweet, sweet, sweet play. I mean, from both parties, a great throw, even better catch. I like Austin Mack. I have liked him since they brought him in the transfer portal. I remember when they brought him in being a little kind of perplexed as like,
big kid,
very, very
beautiful
big
arm.
Yes, he looks the part of a quarterback, and that is, he passes the eye test, and that's part of why I think I was so excited about him coming in. I didn't necessarily expect him to be anybody that was going to compete with Jalen Milroe this year, but for an option next season, I think he's definitely in the mix.
All right, let's fast forward. How many months? 2.5 months, right? end of January, January 22. January 22, you've got Keelan Russell coming in. Hypothetically, in this scenario, Jalen has played well, and he says, okay, I'm off to save the New York Giants. What in the world are you trying to have in your quarterback room as you go through spring practice? Keelan Russell is in the class. Are you doing all you can to keep Ty Simpson and Dylan Lonergan and Austin Mack, bringing in Keelan Russell as well, making it a four-way competition, saying, Ty Simpson, you probably have the razor's edge lead on everybody just about due to experience, but it's not hard and fast, buddy. This is not you haven't won the job. Like, I think that's the ideal scenario.
Yeah.
Like, can you afford to lose any of these guys? And do you think we might lose one of these guys?
Potentially.
I think you're losing.
I think you're losing one of them probably at least.
Yeah, and I think maybe even two.
Yeah, I'm afraid you may be correct. This situation reminds me a lot, and it might be a little bit different. I'm trying to remember all the names that were are still around at that time, but kind of like when Bryce was coming in.
Right.
And, Bryce comes in, everybody, the word is like, oh, is he going to start as a freshman? And it's like, well, no, Mac Jones is here. Everybody knew Mac Jones. Everybody that knew anything knew Mac Jones was going to be the starter that year. But you had this extremely exciting freshman behind him who you and I both knew probably was a little better talent-wise, but, just didn't have the level of comfortability within the offense that Mac Jones had. So I think going into next season, this feels a lot like that, where it's always
Ty Simpson one and done, and then Keelan Russell takes over.
Maybe. I don't know if I like Ty again.
I was going to go a different way.
Okay, and I like Ty, but I don't think you let Keelan Russell transfer.
Well, yeah, he's coming in in the spring.
So you let him. He comes in. I think you get your one. Most quarterbacks, I think, you can probably talk a freshman quarterback into, all right, buddy, you're a freshman. You're going to have to sit behind the guy for a year. That's okay. You get into your sophomore season, and then we're having these playing time conversations. Keelan Russell's a 5-star quarterback, number 1 quarterback in the state of Texas, number 3 in the country. He's going to want to be on the field. And you're not going to tell him no for Ty Simpson, I don't think. So then you're sitting at an either, all right, Ty, what do we do, buddy? You played with us for a year. I don't really know if he's an NFL guy. He might be. We'll see what he does next season. But I think maybe this is one of those where you just have to tell Ty, sorry, buddy, go on out to Arizona State. Go on out to somewhere. Go. I don't think you can keep Keelan Russell off the field for more than one season.
All right.
Without him leaving.
Right. I think you're right. But I wonder if we're going to see this move happen like now. Like, we'll roll into 2025 with Lonergan, Mack, and Russell.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever wins the job, I mean, if it's Mack, he's been in the system for 2 dang years already. It'll be his 3rd year in the system. Lonergan looks like,
and Mack is a guy that, like,
Lonergan looks like AI to me. Looks like an AI version of a quarterback. Like, everything he does to me is right.
Yeah,
he's absolutely right. But nothing exactly wows me.
Mm-hmm.
He's very Mac Jones-esque in that sense. Now, I say that he really has not been asked to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
In a scenario where I've been able to see him, right? It's been A-Day, it's been open practice, it's been spring practice, open deal.
Very, very few opportunities.
Right. So I don't want to paint the picture like he can't do it, but like when it's been in public, to me, it's just been like, hey man, can you hit this 6-yard hitch route over the middle? And he's like, yes, all day, every day, right on time.
Hey, can you go out there, like get us a couple easy first downs.
Yes, exactly. Like, I can just whatever I'm not trying to say AI as a negative.
Yes,
I'm trying to say it as like he looks like he reads the defense. I had somebody say, all check downs to what I put out on Twitter, and I said, nobody look back at the plays. The first play, every receiver is running a 4-yard hitch. So what the bleep are you going to do except for throw it a 4-yard hitch? Like, and he does, and it's like, well, I'm going to pick my guy.
On target throw. It's on time.
Right. And I think did I have Lonergan? Lonergan was 5 of 6. His next one, he had a swing pass. Well, buddy, of course it's a design swing pass. It's not designed down the field. We are burning
exactly
the
what he
clock
had to
here.
do on it.
We're burning
Hit the guy right in stride. Like, it's a beautiful throw.
Yes. And so it hits the receiver, and boom, we get positive yardage. But so there you go. He gets another one that's everybody's running hitches. The only time that he had an opportunity, it looked like a flood route to the right-hand side, a flood concept to the right-hand side. He's rolling out, pressure right in his face. And so, of course, he checks down to the guy who, to his check down. Like an AI, I'm going to make the correct play. Oh, pressure on my face, check down, take positive yardage. Like, not in a negative way. I just don't know. And so, because I think that he's a little bit on he looks really smart to me, really cerebral, really just right. Yeah, I think you want to keep him.
Perfect backup quarterback.
Thank you. Exactly. Yep. And you say, okay, Austin Mack, I've been training you for 2 years.
That's exactly where I was wanting to go, because let's not forget, Austin Mack is a guy that Kalen DeBoer recruited to be the next quarterback for him at Washington.
Right.
Like, he was going to step in for Michael Penix and be the next guy there. Some things change, some coaches shuffle around, some coaches retire, and here he is here in Tuscaloosa. He still loves the guy. He still wants him to be that kind of quarterback.
Right. I think that he still thinks that he can be.
Yeah.
And what did we see on Saturday that says he can't?
Nothing. I mean, yeah,
exactly. He misses a deep shot to Ty Lockwood, 4 or 5 yards over his head. That was, if you're gonna miss, that's where you miss. Okay, no problem. Then he takes a check down, a little dump off to I think a running back, and then a bang to Rico Scott. And now Rico Scott made a hell of a catch. You got to give it up for number 11 right there from Pennsylvania.
But Austin Mack did put it in the spot it needed to be.
Right, exactly. Right on time. Here's your spot. I'm going to leave you to make a play, to make a catch. I think that you're going to really be watching out for Austin Mack.
I hope so. I think he's very talented. When that transfer did happen, I remember going back and, trying to find any of like the highlights or any of the high school stuff I could find. And like everything I saw from him, he's very talented. I think I'm
reclassified. Remember, he reclassified.
Yeah.
So he should be a true freshman this year, just by age.
There's a lot to be excited about there. I think. Yeah. I think he is someone who really, and this is not to take anything away from Jalen Milroe once again, but he is someone who maybe fits the mold of what Kalen DeBoer is looking for a little more. Someone that can maybe do a little more with their arm as opposed to their legs.
Right. Can I play Austin Mack for 2 seasons, redshirt Keelan Russell for 1, and kind of tease him for that second season, and then just turn it over to Russell for 2 seasons, and then bam, bam, there's 2 NFL prospects that I've churned out right behind Jalen Milroe?
That feels pretty good to me.
I mean,
I love it, Ty. I love you, Ty. Sorry, buddy.
It's just what I feel. I'm not saying that with knowledge.
And yes, we don't know anything. And again, it is not to take anything away from Ty Simpson as a quarterback. I think he could go play a lot of other places and probably have a lot of success.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's very talented. And what you said, the improv, it was no. Oh, pretty much all the time. And now he was definitely on time to Caleb Odom the first pass, and the second, and the bomb shot to Jaron Hamilton down the post was a good pass, and then he gave Jaron Hamilton another ride down the left hand side that I think was out of bounds. But really, same thing for Ty Simpson. All his misses, every miss was okay in a place where nobody else can get this but my guy, or, again, on the Clayloss thing, if they had intercepted, if it had been a yard shorter and they intercepted it, well, you're down on the 2-yard line. So who cares? It's like six one way, half a dozen the other. And whether you punt right there and you're risking downing on the 5 or not, or touchback, like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So Ty made smart decisions, and he's had every opportunity to transfer out of this program,
and he hasn't. So there is something to be said for that.
Yeah,
he could have very easily transferred this offseason and been a starter right now.
Been marketable. People would have wanted him.
Absolutely.
People absolutely would have wanted it. Programs would have.
You look at what Eli Holstein has done this season. He saw the writing on the wall, took his chance, and now he's been lighting it up for Pitt this year.
Just won the Heisman Trophy on my NCAA Dynasty.
Hey, there we go.
Good job, Eli Holston, in my make-believe world.
I feel optimistic about this quarterback room. I definitely think there is going to be some shuffling in the future. I think we are
the talent. The main point is the talent.
It's an outpouring of talent
with all four
room.
guys,
yes.
Keelan Russell and the three backups. Oh my goodness gracious! I mean, we love you, Jalen Milroe. Thank you. And if you do decide to come back for your redshirt senior year, I mean, that would be absolutely wild. It would be, but I might be excited to see what you got behind you a little bit.
Yeah, I think I think Jalen Milroe's got NFL written all over him. I think some team. I don't know if it's the Giants. Some team is going to fall in love with him.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think they're going to draft another Daniel Jones.
They're going to draft Jalen Milroe.
He feels like a cowboy.
No,
they're going to give up on Dak.
Didn't they pay Dak a lot of money?
It don't matter to Jerry. They're going to trade Dak.
He's gonna end up being a Panther because they're gonna get rid of Bryce Young. They're gonna say,
what is Bryce Young's trade value right now? What is
3, a 2?
Think he still gets
what did Josh Rosen get? He's a good comp.
Yeah.
What did Josh Rosen get from the Cardinals to where did he go?
Miami, wasn't
Miami, I think it was. As a first-round draft pick bust. Did he get a second-round draft pick?
Number 62 overall pick is what was sent in exchange for Josh Rosen. So second round
pick. That's a late 2.
That's actually so crazy to think about looking back now.
So there's your value for Bryce Young. Always.
I don't think the Panthers. Hey, Bryce has looked good the last couple of weeks.
He just needs to get in a better situation.
100%. Either get them David Tepper, sell the team, get somebody in there that wants to win some football games and not just go exactly 500 to keep the fans just enough interested to keep coming to games. Or let's trade Bryce and get him somewhere where he can succeed.
Let's talk about the real quarterback, Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen was great.
Yeah, efficient again.
Efficient is the name of the day.
11 16, 186, 2 touchdowns. He had how many carries? Where am I at rushing? Four rushes, 43 yards, and a touchdown. They used one of those. That was my only complaint of the day. The red zone offense looked a little junky again. As it has all season long. But they got into the end zone on a couple of those times. And what was it? They had the Justice Haynes fumble, Caden Proctor fumble recovery in the end zone that wasn't a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had the Jam Miller on the next play, right? Didn't Jam Miller get a chance to put in the end zone? He was down or whatever. And so then they broke out our cheap play that we highlighted again. And Jalen Milroe got his rushing touchdown. He found Ryan Williams for passing touchdown, and he found Robbie Oots.
That was awesome. Oots. That was awesome. I love Robbie Oots. Love me some Robbie Oots. Talk about a guy that an NFL team was going to absolutely fall in love with. That's your next Pat Ricard. That's your next.
The Bears need to draft
Kyle Juszczyk. That's your next.
Please draft him. Please draft him. Chicago.
Do
whatever it takes because he will be.
He is just a guy that makes your football team better. Doesn't
Right.
matter who you are, he will make your team better.
The Bears have Mercedes Lewis on their team right now, who's 40 years old. And he serves as a blocking tight end, right? So let's get younger and put Robbie Oots next to Cole Kmet. Oh my gosh! Draft Tyler Booker and Robbie Oots. You want to get nasty on the offense to protect Caleb Williams? That's how you do it right there. Hey, I'd really like to stop hitting me. Yeah, that's good.
Robbie Oots is a dog.
Oh, unbelievable player.
Yeah, he and I say this, I swear I say this about almost every player we individually mention on the show, but he's one of my favorites on this team.
Oots, Tim Keenan.
Love some Damani Jackson.
That's my next one. Damani Jackson forcing a fumble, getting the turnover party started with the peanut punch.
He's a dog.
Three turnovers again this week for Alabama. You got the Quay Rusall interception. Brayson number to pass breakup. Where's my forced fumbles? Where's my fumble recovery right there? Fumbles.
Now, at what point does this Alabama defense start getting the national love?
Never.
I mean, this defense. This is over the last 4 weeks the best defense in the country, probably. We're looking at 17 points given up to Tennessee, a shutout at Missouri, 13 to LSU, and 7
16 turnovers in the last 5 games.
Yeah,
Three, and 4.
This defense is rolling.
Really, really impressive.
And you'll never hear a word about it unless you listen to the Joe Gaither Show.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Let me talk. Let's go here. Well, still from the game on Saturday. Okay, Caleb Odom. You want to go on? Look, I know he backtracked. The Twitter didn't. I'm
gonna need Caleb Odom also next time he takes field to change his undershirt. That wasn't working for me.
Well, I don't care about the undershirt, but you're gonna go and talk about targets, and then you're going to get the deep shot down the field. Now, granted, I think it was a little long, just like the, but it wasn't raining like it was in Baton Rouge last week, and you sold out for it and couldn't bring it down. Like, hey, buddy. If granted, you made some nice catches for Ty Simpson later. What do I have you for? 2 catches, 20 yards. Both those catches coming from Ty Simpson. Got himself the deep shot target for a touch. If it wasn't a touchdown, it was gonna be a 30-40 yard play. Yeah. And all I have to definitely rooting for all the Alabama guys for sure. Like, I'll just be honest with you about it. I want everybody to be successful. But if you're going to go on the Twitter machine and talk about targets after the Tennessee game, when you get your opportunity, you got to make the most of it.
Yeah. I mean, you can't talk all this big game and not back it up, man. I think me and you both this season have been, in the corner of Caleb Odom. We both want to see him do well because we think, he's a very, very talented player, obviously. You just look at him, you can tell he's an extremely talented receiver. But seems like maybe, I don't know, there's just, it's a concentration thing. I don't know if there's just like an attitude issue that, I don't know, something's, maybe he's just a freshman. These are still kids at the end of the day. It's keep that in mind, I guess. But, yeah, I'd like to see Caleb Odom maybe switch some things around.
I didn't know. I should have figured this out. The fumble recoveries were Xavier Brown and Damon Payne. Xavier Brown with a 62-yard return gets Alabama's first non-offensive touchdown of the season.
I wish it had come earlier in the year, but I'll take it. We'll never have that. What was it, 2015, 16, first 3 or 4 games of the year they had one. We'll never see that again.
Like 10 in a row or something.
It was awesome.
My dog is going crazy today. He's going absolutely insane today. You got anything else from this game?
Not really. I mean, we briefly briefly threw it out there. It was good to see Ryan Williams kind of get back active again. He, has been a little quiet the last couple of weeks. I mean, he only had the 1 or 2 catches today in that game, but he did get the touchdown,
end around touchdown and the passing touchdown.
Yeah, so good to see him get involved again. Kendrick Law, unfortunately, didn't really do a whole lot in this game. Still holding out hope that he's going to get going. They just got to. I don't know. They just got to figure it out.
So deep.
I guess that's what it is. It's so hard to get all of these guys the ball, and also turn around and give it to Jam and Justice 40 times a game between the two of them. So it's just hard to spread the ball out when you have an offense as talented as Alabama does.
All right, so let's jump ahead and talk about Alabama basketball.
This one's going to hurt.
And we'll talk about Alabama basketball, then we'll talk about SEC championship game scenario. So you're watching us on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. We want to thank our friends Purple Turtle Roofing for sponsoring the program. You can find them today at roofturtle.com. Call my friend Dustin Foley and his team at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for a free roof inspection. You're getting a little kind of some nastier weather. The weather's definitely getting cooler. You can call Purple Turtle Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Call them at 877-787-6635. They'll send one of their qualified employees to come check out your roof for free and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. Check them out online today at roofturtle.com. Friday, the Crimson Tide basketball program goes up to Indiana. Purdue, and for the second year in a row, loses to the Boilermakers 87-78. And
oh man.
I walked away from Friday night's game just kind of disgusted, to be honest with you.
Just disappointed, upset.
Alabama's only dropped to number 8 in the polls. And you get the chance to bounce it back again on Wednesday against Illinois. Sure. So, look, before we get into what went wrong, and don't take this like,
there's no doom and gloom here.
Yeah. But we're just dissecting the game, and I didn't like a lot of things that I saw in the game. Mason's got himself a list as well. We'll get into who made the naughty list, what maybe made the good list. Maybe there's one or two good things as Alabama gets into its its brand new season. Mason, first couple of thoughts as the get buzzer hits 0.
First thought, watching the game, the first thing I thought was just like, instant reaction was like, dang, this team can't defend. I mean, with all we've talked about through the first 3 games of the season, all right, can you defend for 40 minutes? It does not look like they can defend for 40 minutes because they did not do it against Purdue. This team, they allowed Purdue, you look back through the stats, I think Purdue had over 1.3 points per possession. That's the highest Bama's given up yet this season, I believe.
1.359.
So yeah, this is Bama's worst defensive performance of the year in the time where they needed it the most. And it's just disappointing. I know that it's only a 9-point game, that Alabama did some things well offensively up there, but like it really just kind of feels like you went up there and laid an egg.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you
had a chance to put yourself on a national stage as one of the best teams in college basketball.
And to validate a lot of the offseason.
You went out and just kind of, sure, Alabama's fine.
Yeah, to validate a lot of the offseason talk.
Yes.
And you went up there and you hung in there is what you did.
Yeah.
Instead of dictating, instead of imposing any will, you allowed Purdue to impose their will. I mean, how many possessions for them? 64 possessions for Purdue, Alabama, 65.
Yeah.
So, like, you're not playing the game in the 80, 90 possession mark like you want to. You're shooting it okay. Yeah.
Not good enough.
Not good enough. 1 of 9 from beyond the arc in the first half. What I had 8 of 20 in the second half. So you got it up a lot more shots in the second half. But really, just I got an issue. Like, the pace was just slow. It was just so disjointed.
It felt clunky and it wasn't very smooth like it's been the first few games. It was.
Well, and even you got to take it back to the McNeese State game where they slowed everything down. I think the biggest explanation for this is that Coach Oates is still tinkering with the lineup. And I think the next biggest explanation for this is you've got to get guys up to speed for the college game, because my biggest takeaway from the game was not only playing Aiden Sherrill only 2 minutes. When you've got this Purdue kid who's eating your lunch, absolutely destroying you. Trey Coffin-Wren down in the post. So what do you have? 26 points, 26 points, 8 rebounds.
He only shot like 4 free throws.
Right. 26 points on 1 of 4 free throws. So he's 12 of 26. He's eating your lunch. And look, Cliff did fine, but he can't play the whole 40 minutes. This kid,
this is something that we have known.
30 minutes. Right. You had to do something with him when Cliff came off the floor. And so your first move was to throw Aiden Sherrill at him. And Aiden played in those 2 minutes and looked absolutely lost. Now, look, you got to give him a lot of grace because he's been one of the ones who's been out during preseason. He didn't play in the Memphis scrimmage, didn't play against Virginia Tech. So this was like really throwing you in the deep end, kid. Like, we'll see if you can swim.
He drowned.
Yeah, Coach Oates pulled the life preserver out for him. He said, "We're yank 2 fouls in 2 minutes, kind of out of position, bodied around out there in short succession, and said, "Oh, we're not throwing you back out there. You're unplugged." Now, I would have liked to have seen Coach Oates some point in the second half say, "Hey, man, here's your another 2-minute stretch. Sink or swim, buddy." But the game was in the balance at that point, and I think Coach Oates at that point is thinking, "How the heck do we get out of here with a win?"
Yeah, and you're probably right there.
So you're balancing these two
That's a tough
thoughts.
spot to be. I do think confidence-wise, though, man, that's got to hurt for Aiden Sherrill. I hope moving forward, this is not something he's going to be lingering with, but I mean, you get in for 2 minutes against the best game. The biggest competition of your career in college up to this point. On the big stage, you get in, immediately yanked back out and relegated to the end of the bench.
Yeah, so that was a tough one for me. That's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I don't love that decision from Nate Oates, I don't think. I get it, but I don't love it.
Right. I would have liked to have seen another 2 minutes in the second
Yes.
half. Like if you sink and you get another 2,000, you got 4,000
You're
zero. Like, all right, we're taking
You're
you
out
out
this game and you're out the next game. Like,
no, well, no. Well, I think we got, you got to throw him out there again against Illinois. Get him up to speed. That's my biggest.
Like you said, it kind of just felt like that was Nate Oates just being like, okay, well, we got to figure out how to win. We can't test things out anymore.
Right. And so you threw Grant out there, and I love you, Grant, but Grant's the same player that he was last year.
Yeah.
You're getting beat up in the post, my man, and just became.
They didn't box anybody out all night.
10 offensive rebounds. They're 6 of 9 of layups. They're 1 of 1 for dunks.
Only 8 turnovers, so that's good offensively.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about my biggest sequence. They're like the pain in the neck. Oh gosh, you're up 6, right, with 15 minutes to go in the second half.
Like
16 minutes to go in the second half,
and
they go on a 13-0 run. With this kid. Name is Cox. CJ Cox hits 3 threes in a row. Bam, bam, bam. His 3 threes in a row. And first, Coach Oates takes a timeout after the 13-0 run, and you get things going back again. Coach Oates, I love you so much, but that's one of his biggest flaws, in my opinion, is when he takes timeouts. He lets the runs ride.
He just always waits one possession too long.
Lets the runs ride a little bit. Now, granted, I do think that there's something to be said about let your players figure it out.
Sure.
You got to, work that out. But think that he was asked about it in post game, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that that the run was like there was 13-0." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, buddy." That game flipped in a heartbeat, right there. So just a tough performance defensively. I mean, you had Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith, and this guy Trey Coffin-Wren. The 3 of them had you in just kind of hell, running the pick and roll and operating kind of a 3-man game. Mark, for all this talk about how much he's worked on his defense, I think had trouble staying in front of those 2 guards. I think that LeBaron had trouble staying in front of those 2 guards as well as he played. And LeBaron, I did think, played really well. I think Aiden had Holloway had trouble staying, and Latrell also had trouble staying in front of those guards.
I do want to, and we laid all of this out. These are the reasons Alabama lost this game. Alabama did not play the way that they needed to play to win. I don't want to take that away. Alabama did not play super well this game. They should not have won. But man, you look at the last 3 minutes of this game. It's 80-74 Purdue. It's a 6-point game, and you go down the last 3 minutes. Purdue they shoot no field goals. They get 7 points off free throws. Bama gets to the line 0 times. And it's just like, and I know I don't want to harp on the officiating, but it's ridiculous at this point.
What about the one call, the double foul on Jaron Stevenson and the Purdue player, and the Purdue players got Jaron Stevenson hooked by the neck?
It was just, golly, look, Alabama did not do the things they needed to do to win. Sure, whatever. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that game was officiated in a way that a premier college basketball game should be officiated, I'm going to tell you that you're crazy.
All right,
it was just painful.
Yeah, I thought you can battle through it.
Yeah. I don't. You look what they did in the second half. What they went. They were. What you said, 1 for 9 in the first half, and then they went like 9 for 20 in the second from 3 or something like that.
Yeah, Alabama 8 from 20.
So they go for
only 3 free throws in the second half.
That's awful. Come on, you can't win that way.
Yeah, that's not good.
Alabama, they flipped their performance. They shot the ball significantly better in the second half. Did a lot of the things they needed to do offensively. Defense was still bad, mind you, but did a lot of the things that they needed to do offensively to put themselves in a position to win this game. But you can't win when you can't even get to the line. It's ridiculous. It was horribly officiated, that game.
What about Jaron Stevenson? 0 points. 0 for 4 from 3-point land.
Yeah,
only 1 rebound. You got to find, only 14 minutes, but you got to find, if you're going to start, if your lineup's going to be, hey, let's start with guys who are experienced, let's go with, mean, your starting lineup, duh. I mean, going into that game made perfect sense to me. Mark, Luttrell, Grant, Cliff Amore, Jaron Stevenson, guys with experience who have played here before, with Alabama or that have college experience. Great. But you're going with a big lineup, and that third, fourth guy has to be kind of, you got to get more out of Jaron if he's going to play small forward.
Yeah. I mean, you said it right there. I just accidentally unplugged my headphones, but it'll be all right. You said it right there that you have to get more out of him. When you're gonna be in that role, especially in Alabama's offense, you kind of have to be in that like tweener spot where you have to be able to do the things that a 5 can do and the things that a wing player can do. You have to play that in between spot, and it's like if the threes aren't falling, you got to find it other ways. You can't just stop. Slash. Yeah, you can't just sit there and just keep putting up threes. Like if they're not falling, they're not falling. It is very obvious up to this point in the season, Jaron Stevenson's threes are not falling. Get to the basket.
Okay, let me ask you a different question. What's the issue with the Alabama offense in the last 2 games against McNeese State and against Purdue? You credit the Cowboys and you credit the Boilermakers for a good defense, slowing you down. Now, you did get good shots, but it took you a long time into the shot clock, and they slowed you down. Your possessions, as we noted, were down in both games. There is a theory that the offensive spacing is jumped up because Cliff Amore can't shoot, and so he's hanging out down there by the basket. And you are, last year, you think about last year, and you had, Pringle always hanging out around the wing, or Grant Nelson hanging out around the wing, or Jaron hanging out around the wing. So little guy Mark Sears can, get into the lane easier. Now, I don't know that I buy into this quite yet.
Yeah.
But you've got people suggesting that the offense is a little junked up space-wise, but you're playing this game in Nate Oates' head. What am I getting out of Cliff on the defensive end versus what is he costing me on the offensive end? Now, offensively, we've seen him be a great, dunker.
We've seen him be an asset.
He's been a finisher at the rim as far as an alley-ooper, but you are...
That was also not against Purdue.
Right. Clogged up in the lane right there, so to a degree. So how do you feel about balancing those two thoughts?
That's a very interesting thought that you've posed, because I have not really considered that yet, and I'm thinking about it now. I'm thinking about that, thinking back to that last game, and like maybe there's a little bit to it. I definitely think there were, I'm trying to think of any specific stretches there. No, I'm blanking, but I feel like there were definitely moments within that game where everything just felt like it got clogged up, like you kind of said. It got junked up down there. Mark's bringing the ball down, not really knowing what's going to happen here, and it's, I don't know. It's very, very hard. This is why Nate Oates gets paid the money he does to make these decisions, because Cliff does bring you so much on the defensive end, so much more than really anybody else on this roster can. So I don't think that you can. I don't think you can trade off. I think that's way more valuable than maybe a few extra points or a guy that can get you a little better spacing potentially. I think defense is what is going to be the difference between this team winning or losing a championship. So if you can get better defense, the other 4 guys can make it work on offense. I think it should be able to, at least in theory.
So you go into Purdue, Mackey Arena, and LeBaron Philon leads you in scoring. 18 points, 7 of 10 from the floor, 4 offensive rebounds, 5 rebounds total, 4 offensive rebounds. Only 1 turnover from the freshman. Yeah, you're -3 for the plus minus, but I hate plus minus, so I don't really care about that. LeBaron Philon was not on my bingo card for being most ready for an atmosphere, or least intimidated by the Mackey Arena atmosphere. I don't want to say that the team was intimidated, but maybe they gave off that vibe just to a degree.
Yeah, I think certainly a little bit. It seemed like at times, maybe the noise got to him some. There was a little bit of sloppiness at times when you could really feel the arena start to kind of rise a bit. But Phylon responded fantastically in just about every situation he could. I really thought, I don't think there's really anything that you can point to with him and be upset. Like you said, he had one turnover. He led the team in scoring. He was as solid as anybody on the team defensively. Again, it was not a great defensive performance overall, but I don't think he was like an outlier or anything. I think if anything, he was one of the better pieces. So he's been so good this season, and I am just extremely excited to watch him keep developing as a player.
We'll see you on Wednesday, 8:00. Oh my mercy! It's gonna be a late night in Birmingham. We hope that you fill up the BJCC, right? Mm-hmm. We'll be there to watch Alabama take on Illinois.
It's gonna be a good one
for Bama and BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. That'll be Alabama's chance to bounce back and have one more prep game before the Players Era Festival. The guys will have a chance to win some money out in Las Vegas. Maybe they'll play really hard out there. Maybe we'll be able to see a tangible difference. I wonder.
I hope that that's not the case.
I hope it's not the case either.
But, boy, now that you put that in my head, I'm sure am worried that's what we're going to see. But at least, maybe if that's the case, we see that with everyone, and it's not just an Alabama thing, hopefully. So if every team, if you can see a noticeable uptick in, level of intensity, then I'm okay with it.
All right, so let's finish up this show by telling you about our friend Derek Daniel at State Farm. We're right here in the Derek Daniel State Farm studios, right off of McFarland Boulevard, past the Tiger Rock on the left, right off 69 North. You can find us right here. You can call us at 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. Home, life, and auto insurance. Red Reese and Victoria will be happy to run you a quick quote today and try to save you some money and get you better coverage on all of your insurance. Call Derek Daniel and his team today, 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Well, Mason Woods, looks like the SEC championship picture is starting to come into focus.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Tennessee loses on the road to Georgia.
As we all thought.
Yeah, exactly. Missouri is officially out after a loss to South Carolina.
As we all thought.
Yes, LSU officially out with a loss to Florida.
As we all thought.
Texas A&M, at Alabama. I guess Tennessee probably still somewhat on some tiebreaker level.
I believe, and this is, I don't know for sure, but from what I have seen and gathered online, I think that Tennessee is pretty much guaranteed to not make it because their strength of schedule is much worse than the rest of the SEC teams that are up there. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's what I've kind of seen about Tennessee is that they don't necessarily match up schedule-wise to Alabama or Georgia. So those two teams would probably get the nod over Tennessee, which is just very funny to me because Vol fans are going to be so angry if they beat Alabama and then Bama goes.
That's what I want. All right. Texas A&M, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and Ole Miss all with 2 losses. Or no, what should be? Everybody but Texas has 2 losses.
It's coming.
There we go.
Get ready, Longhorns. Aggie's coming to town.
So Texas wins out. Texas defeats Kentucky and A&M. They'll be in the SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That scenario would create a logjam of 2 2-loss teams for the second spot. Alabama, Ole Miss, and Tennessee could all be in play depending on how their games unfold. If Texas beats Texas A&M, a victory over would give the Aggies Texas a victory over Texas would give Texas A&M control. So really, that's going to be an important game for everybody to watch. That Friday night, November 29th. That's going to be incredible. Actually, no, that's the Saturday. This Friday is Egg Bowl and Georgia Tech. Basically, if Alabama wins out,
if Alabama wins out, I think they should be in. As I understand it, at least. Again, these are these tiebreakers are like so convoluted and confusing. It's like it's common opponent, strength of schedule, or something. It's
I think the way that I read this, if Alabama wins out in Texas, then you're going to play the winner of Texas and Texas A&M
As I understand
long
it,
as
yes.
Missouri wins one more game.
Okay.
Because of the weight of your strength of schedule. So Alabama's got South Carolina, Missouri, Vanderbilt. Praise the Lord for the Commodores on your schedule and their wins this year.
Well, honestly, I mean, and this maybe we get into this in a few minutes. But do you want to play in the SEC championship?
That's my point. That's what you. But that
I
sets
spoiled
me
it.
off.
That's my bad.
No. But that sets me off. Yes. If you're Alabama, if you're anyone, it doesn't matter if you're Alabama. If you're Texas, right? Let's just take the bias out of it. If you're Texas, if you're Georgia, I got Georgia fan buddies who are telling me, "Oh, we're good not to go play in Atlanta. We'll take the week off." That's fine. You can get the week off December the 7th. Take it off. Enjoy it. But you know what that does for you? There's multiple things. Multiple things. First, it puts you into the hands of the committee on Sunday. And people say, "Oh, Georgia, you're definitely in." Are you? Are you definitely in? How many spots are there really?
Yeah.
Five get automatically in. Well, the SEC loser is in. There's 6. Notre Dame is in at 7. Well, the Big Ten loser is in at 8. Well, you're probably getting Penn State, who's not going to be playing for the Big Ten championship, at 9. Well, like you start to run out of spots really quickly. 10, 11, 12. That's 3 spots. Well, you're going to run out of spots really quickly. And so I think you do not want to be sitting at home on championship game weekend. You want to first be winning that weekend to leave no doubt and to give yourself, we'll talk about the path in just a second, but you want to leave no doubt. Because if you're in the SEC championship game, you will be playing in the playoff. End of story. I don't think they're going to penalize the loser that much. I don't think they're going to penalize the loser hardly at all.
Yeah.
And so you look, the Indiana Ohio State loser, they're going to be in the playoff. There's another spot burned, right? So, like,
I think that should be an elimination game for Indiana. If it won't be, but I think it should be.
Yeah, it maybe should be, but like these spots are going to get taken up very quickly. Let's just say Miami wins out and loses in the ACC championship game. Does Miami steal a bid at 11-12?
Yeah.
Maybe they do. You can say their strength of schedule is bad, and it is. They haven't beaten anyone, and they haven't. But the way this is going to play out is going to be about inclusion. You're going to get a lot of inclusion. You're going to get a lot of brand power. So if you are a team that doesn't have a big-time brand power, and if you're in the SEC, like an Ole Miss, you probably you need to be playing that weekend.
Yeah.
Because if you're Texas A&M and your name is not Texas, Texas might just get in because their name is Texas. But
Ole Miss does not have that same luxury.
Right. It's gonna matter. It's absolutely gonna matter. And if it comes down to Texas has lost the Texas A&M game, and it's the Aggies, and it's Alabama and Texas A&M in Atlanta, and the committee is taking both those teams, and then they got to decide: do I take Georgia or Texas? I mean, obviously the head-to-head goes at play, but are you leaving Texas out? Who's been
from the back?
Hey,
we're here too.
Right? Are you leaving Texas out? Who's been number 2 all season? Number 3 all season? Like.
I mean, are they gonna do Texas like they did Georgia?
Get messy really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And so the point is,
leave no doubt.
You absolutely want to go to Atlanta, because not only do you take the choice out of it. I mean, you've got you could lose. Oh, you got another week of wear and tear. Yes, that's true. But the reward is so high. The reward is going to bed on Saturday night, win or lose, knowing I'm in the playoff. All right. The reward to win, you're talking about, we want a bye week. We want a bye week. Win the SEC championship and get your bye week the next week. That's going to be, you'll end up on a double bye week, right? So you'll be off the 14th because that's just not part of the playoff. And the playoff starts on the 20th, right? 20th and 21st.
So you get a double bye.
But double bye week right there. 2 weeks off in a row. Oh, we need the wear and tear, the rest.
You've convinced me.
Right. 2 weeks off in a row. Right, we're there. Okay, let's just think about that. 2 weeks off. Right now, let's think about the matchups on the field. Like this is like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This is a no-brainer because I'm going as the number one. If you're Alabama, you've won the SEC championship. You're a number 2 seed, right? You're a 2, you're a 3, right? You're not passing Oregon unless there's an upset. If there's an upset in the Big Ten championship,
Oregon didn't look too good this weekend,
but you're going to be a top 3 seed. Okay, you got your bye, and where are you playing? You're in New Orleans. 5-hour drive right here from Tuscaloosa, less from Mobile. That place is going to be jam-packed to the gills with Alabama fans. And who are they going to be playing? They're going to be playing the winner of the 7-10 matchup. So they're going to be playing a beat-up Indiana or another SEC team that's gone on the road the last week, right? You're getting a team that has just played a dogfight the week earlier in your backyard. Okay, your next week, you win. You go to, I believe it's going to be Dallas. Like, here's your path to victory. New Orleans, Dallas, Atlanta. Boom. All these trips that Alabama fans can take very, very easily.
And have in the past.
Right. Big cities, lots of hotel options, lots of very accessible. So you can be there. And so from an Alabama program's perspective, and even anyone in the SEC, right? This is the SEC's path. This is the SEC champion's path. That's the point. You want to go to Atlanta. You want to win the SEC championship. So if you're Georgia, you're Texas, you want to go New Orleans, Dallas, Atlanta. Boom, boom, boom. 3 big cities that I have. Look, if you are those brands, you've got alums in all those cities, right? They're there. You're going to have big support.
Yeah.
All right. Versus, we didn't go to the SEC championship. We sat at home. We got our 1 week off. But you get a dice roll, Mason Woods. Take your dice roll, and on these die, you get at Ohio State, you get at Indiana, you get at Penn State, or you get at Notre Dame. And now not every one of those sides of the dice is evil, right? You can go into Indiana and probably, you're probably beating Indiana. And you're probably, if you're in Alabama, if you're Georgia, if you're Texas, you're probably better than Penn State, and you're probably better than Notre Dame. But touchdown Jesus is there.
Yeah.
And Ohio State, like the whiteout atmosphere is going to be absolutely berserk on that Friday night, right? Ohio State, that Saturday Big Ten kickoff at noon. They're probably going to, whatever time they put that, those people are going to be going crazy in the horseshoe. Can you win those games? You can win those games, right? But do you like those odds? Oh, no.
I think my chances in New Orleans.
Exactly. Exactly. Unless
Big
you are,
easy.
And the only other alternative to not going to the SEC championship game is being the 5 seed. But I think the 5 seed is reserved for Ohio State. Is reserved for the 2nd or 3rd place in the Big Ten. Honestly, I think that's what it's going to end up being. So that might end up being Penn State, just because you're going to get. Let's just you play this out. Ohio State beats Indiana. Ohio State goes to the Big Ten championship and plays against Oregon, and Oregon wins again. Ohio State, they shouldn't be penalized that much, but you did lose. You fall from 5 to 7, 5 to 8. Well, you're not getting that 5 seed anymore. It's Penn State, who sat at home last week, is moved up into 5, right? That's the only favorable seed. Like the SEC is not getting that seed.
Yeah.
If you're Georgia, you're done at this point. You're playing UMass this week, and you're playing Georgia Tech next week. That's fine. No hate on that. You played a really hard schedule. You have played a really hard schedule. But these two, your resume is basically done. You win these 2 games, you're at everybody's mercy. What are they at? Like 7, 8? For the AP poll this past week, they were just behind Alabama, weren't they?
Yeah.
AP poll. So that puts them at 10, right? AP top 25 poll. Georgia is 10. Is that right? Did I just make that up? I wish you would have just gone to the page that I wanted. But obviously Georgia's 8 in the AP poll. Alabama moved up to 7. And so, like, are you going to climb much higher than 8? And then when you factor in the conference championships and all the shakedown from there, like, you got teams ahead of you. Georgia, if you're in at all, which you probably are, you're going on the road, buddy. You're going to Indiana. You're going to Penn State. You're going to Ohio State. And like, so let's just flip the script. If that's Alabama, like, you don't want that. Everybody, we don't want to go to Atlanta. We want to take the week off. Like, okay, pack your bags to go to Bloomington, Indiana.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold. It's going to be a hard place to get to. It's going to be get to Penn State. It's going to be a hard place to get to. It's going to be nasty weather. And then if you've won, well, congratulations. Now you're at the mercy of the seeding. Am I playing ACC champion Miami in Atlanta in the Peach Bowl? Okay, that's really favorable. But things start to get just dicier from there.
Mm-hmm.
You play extra games. You leave yourself more room to get for weird things to happen.
Yeah,
I think you absolutely go to Atlanta. You win because all right, and let's just be the meathead. Just be the absolute football fan. There's a championship on the line. There is a championship on the line that has meant something my entire life. Now, I'm not that old, but my entire life, the SEC champion has. That is a star on your resume.
Me and you spent a lot of time doing radio together, and I distinctly remember hearing caller after caller after caller that would call in and clamor about, you can't forget about the SEC championship. SEC championship still means something. And I would sit here and I'd say, but does it really mean any? Look, it does to these people. It does to a lot of these fans. It does to these players. It does to the coaches. It does to the rest of the league.
I guarantee you this: none of the Alabama players right now, if you got to interview them honestly and ask them, hey, do you want to go to Atlanta or do you want to take the week off? They say, oh, put us on the 50-yard line in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We don't care. Anybody, anytime.
East.
Right. We want to go play for that championship.
Yeah.
I think it's loser.
No,
it's
I think
loser
I agree
mentality to think about. Well, I hope we just get to take the week off. This isn't the 2017 format, right? Wasn't that right? This is where Alabama didn't play in the title game and won the 4, right? Where you play is going to matter. You think home field advantage? It's real in the SEC, absolutely. And sure, I think it's probably more real in the SEC than anywhere. But you want to go to these Big Ten places with a playoff game on the line?
Not me.
I mean,
not if I don't have to.
Yeah. Oh, or we can go to the Big Easy. You can, roll on. I mean, the boys will take a private plane on the Saturday before, on the Thursday before.
Yeah.
They'll do a walkthrough in New Orleans, and
You'll have buses taking Tide fans from Mobile, from Birmingham, from Tuscaloosa, from Huntsville.
It's a no-brainer path to me, especially when you consider. I mean, you look at Texas, you look at Georgia. I have no idea what their health situation is. I think Georgia's kind of beat up at the moment. Alabama, outside of a couple of injuries that we've already addressed, you're relatively healthy. You're not like desperate for a week off to get Billy A healthy or Johnny B healthy or Stevie X healthy.
Jaden Roberts is the one player I can really think of right now that is in a position where a bye week would probably help him get back.
Yeah, and guess what? He just got one.
Yeah,
he just got one. We didn't talk about it on the game portion, the Mercer game portion, but Geno Vandermark starts and plays the whole game. Jaden Roberts warms up because he can, and that's part of the day. Warms up and says, "Oh, you sit on the sideline.
Have a great game, Geno."
Yeah, exactly. Good luck. Let me know if you need me.
Yeah,
and they didn't.
Yeah, I think you've convinced me 100%. I see where your head's at with this. It does make more sense.
It's so much better path because look, you're not hosting at this point.
Yeah, you can rule it out.
Like if Alabama goes to the title game and loses, you're not hosting. You're probably ending up at that 9. Alabama, that'll be your third loss. They'll say you should be left out of the playoff anyways. And you should say, well, kiss my grits. We're in at 10-3 and we're in as the 10 seed and you're on the road playing in one of those nasty environments. Yeah. But like you've taken your chance. That the reward is so high. The double bye week, the easy travel, the favorable matchups. It's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
And an extra championship ring.
Sure. That's just extra icing on top,
I know I
extra
just iced
bonus
you
for
out of
Kalen
that whole
DeBoer.
10 minutes, but do you have anything you want to throw?
No, I mean, I was, in thinking about it kind of this morning a little bit, I had kind of fallen into the camp of like, well, maybe you don't want to necessarily be one of those teams in Atlanta because that is an extra game that you don't have to play. But like you just laid out,
You think of it as your first round playoff
yes,
game.
when you can win that and then earn the double bye immediately after, like, come on, that's so valuable.
Just treat it like the first round.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, it's do or die. Obviously, if we lose, you're still not, you get the mulligan, but you're not dead.
Yeah.
But treat it like your first round game. And then, like,
I mean, I think the main takeaway, and I fully agree with this.
You're playing in Atlanta, or you're playing the next week in some crappy, terrible environment.
You do not want to leave yourself up to the whim of the committee if you can help it whatsoever. We've seen that time. I mean, we've seen that since the inception of the playoff. You don't want to leave it up to the committee. Florida State, are you still angry about last year? Texas A&M, you still mad about 2020? Jimbo, you still crying about it? It's yeah. You can point to an example probably every season since the playoff has started where some team in the country feels they got screwed because they left it up to the whim of the committee. And sure, it will be.
Ole Miss,
but if you can help
Tennessee,
it, don't do it.
Georgia,
yep.
Somebody's getting left out that should be in this playoff. You want to do?
I mean, honestly, I think it's time we start talking about the 5-loss Florida team as being better than Indiana. Maybe South Carolina's better than Indiana.
Gamecocks will whoop Indiana's
I think both of those teams would beat Indiana.
Oh, Shane Beamer, Gamecocks impressed me. Well done, sir.
They're a team to watch next year.
And the fighting DJ Lagways next year as well.
I'm saying Florida, they got some juice about them.
Billy Napier is going to be so fired up all season since they kept him.
They're going to recruit well, I bet.
I bet they will too. Oh, yeah. We got to get out of here. We're over time for the day. We appreciate
SEC is about to get very interesting the next 5 years.
Everybody watching us, putting up with me wrestling with the dog Abby over here, right here in the Derry Daniel State Farm Studios. Appreciate Mason Woods hanging out with us. Follow Mason Woods at @MAWoods_. You can follow myself at Joe Gaither 6 on your favorite social media machine. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon, the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. We'll be back to talk to you tomorrow right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.